Hi, it's Mitch from PickDawgz.com. Monday, May 27, 2024, here with your first half and first 5 inning picks for today. We've got one NBA matchup, of course, and we have 11 Major League Baseball games on the slate today that we'll be covering in this video. Of course, we always, in this video, look at today in history. Today in sports history, Carl Hubble recorded his 24th consecutive win. That's back in the days where pitchers went complete games almost every single time out. 1937. And some of those old records, they'll just never be broken. But of course, one thing we do here every day is we try and break up the books and pad the bankroll. Well, let's get right into today's action. We start today's action by going to the NBA's Eastern Conference Finals Game 4. Of course, the Celtics lead this series 3-0. The Pacers have had a chance to win 2 of these games and have let them slip through the fingers. At the same time, we have to say the Celtics went out and got those wins as well. You know, we look at these two teams and they are killers in the first half. The Celtics have been straight money against the spread, plus 24% ROI in their last 95 games, just absolutely crushing it, 63-32. And then when you look at the Pacers, the kings of the money line first half, regardless of favorite or underdog, hitting 23 of their last 33, so 23-10. That is at plus 25% ROI. But you also look at the Pacers, and they have won the first half money line 12 in a row at home. Boy, their backs are to the wall. They got no choice but to come out firing in this one. I'll take the Pacers first half as our pick for this game. We start off Major League Baseball action at Camden Yards in Baltimore, where the Orioles are taking on the Red Sox. The Red Sox hitting the road while the Orioles return home. Cole Irvin on the bump for the Orioles. It is Cooper Criswell on the mound for the Red Sox. You know, the Red Sox haven't played well at home, but they've been pretty good on the road. The Orioles haven't been great at home, pretty good on the road as well. But the thing is that Cole Irvin has been really strong lately with a .95 ERA in his last 3 starts. Criswell, on the other hand, ballooning to a 4.50 from his 2.86 season ERA. The thing is, though, when we look at the batting averages, the Red Sox absolutely crushing left-handed pitching lately to the tune of 273 over the last 10 games. Meanwhile, the Orioles hitting just 227 against right-handed pitching. They've been pretty slow starters, even in that Chicago series. I'll take a shot here with the Red Sox at the plus money, and that'll be my pick for this game. For our next game, we head to Target Field in Minnesota, where the Twins are hosting the Royals. This is one of these games where the line just jumps right off the page and says, something looks very funny here, as the Royals have been on an absolute tear, and the Twins haven't been playing their best baseball recently. Joe Ryan on the bump for the Twins, and it is Alec Marsh on the mound for the Royals. You look at recent history, and boy, in this series, the Twins have really been laying it on the Royals recently. This is really one of the more dominating matchup streaks that you see out there. But at the same time, the Royals have been very bad, and the Twins have been atop of the division, winning it last year, and then not the prior year, but the year before that. So the Twins have been pretty solid. The thing is that, you know, Ryan, his ERA down to 2.33 over his last 3 starts. Marsh at 2.76 over his last 3. The Royals hitting 274 over their last 10 versus right-handed pitching, and the Twins at 191. Gotta say, I think this one just belongs to the pitchers. I can't touch this game, but I'll take the under in the first 5, and that'll be my pick. For our next game, we head to the south side of Chicago, where the White Sox are hosting the Blue Jays. Nick Nastrini on the mound for the White Sox. It's Chris Bassett on the mound for the Jays. Bassett's one of these guys. He's up and down always. You know, he could pitch pretty much anywhere in the rotation. While Nastrini, even as a White Sox fan like I am, I can't figure out how this guy's even on the team. 3 starts and an 11.91 ERA. Meanwhile, Bassett's ERA down to 2.37 over his last 3 starts, coming from a 4.39. But the thing is, with Bassett's running well, oh man, that's when he usually implodes. But the thing is that the Jays' bats have come to life. We saw even in that loss yesterday against Detroit, they never really quit, putting 11 runs on the board. And they are hitting 276 versus right-handed pitching over their last 10 games. The White Sox at 196. Hey, you know, I can take the fan out of it when it comes to my bankroll. I'm going to take the Toronto Blue Jays, and that'll be my pick for this first 5 innings. We head to Milwaukee where the Milwaukee Brewers return home and take on a local rivalry in the Chicago Cubs. Of course, these teams located geographically very close together. It's Gasser on the mound for the Brew Crew, and it's Justin Steele on the mound for the Cubs. When the season started, Steele was the number one in the rotation for the Cubs, but boy, after the injury, he has not looked right in his last 3 starts, ballooning to an 8.44 ERA. Meanwhile, Gasser in his 3 starts, 2.65. Pair of lefties going at it here, and the Brewers have really been hitting left-handed pitching pretty well over the course of the season, hitting .230 versus lefties, though, over their last 10 games, while the Cubs, a dreadful 168 versus left-handed pitching. You know, the Brewers, they get home, they get into these day games, and we've seen it before. The hits just start coming. I think it's going to be a bad day to be a Cubs fan. I'm going to take the Milwaukee Brewers in the first 5 innings, and that'll be my pick for this game. For our next game, we head to Colorado to Coors Field, where the Rockies are taking on the Guardians. The Guardians have been absolutely red hot recently, just doing whatever it takes and looking almost machine-like in their efforts. Meanwhile, the Rockies certainly improving as well, but still sporadic. They sent Austin Gomber to the bump here, who's having the best start of his career to a season. In fact, in his last 3 starts, he's got a .87 ERA, 2.76 for the season. Xavier Curry gets the ball here for the Guardians, 1.93 ERA in very limited action. Both these teams are facing favorable matchups as far as the bats go, because over the last 10 games, the Guardians hitting .260 versus lefties, and the Rockies .250 versus righties. Thing is that, Curry, in his limited action, he definitely looked vulnerable, while Gomber, he always, you never know what you're going to get, over the long haul, but what we've seen so far this season, I think he's got it going. I'm going to take the Rockies, and that'll be my pick for the first 5. For our next game, we go to Citi Field in New York, where the Mets are taking on the Dodgers. Neither of these teams playing very well recently, and I gotta say, in the YouTube comments, seems like a lot of Dodger fans always out there, and I've been around the block a few times, when they refer to you as the old guy in the YouTube comments, you've been around for a while, and I try to explain to everybody, even the best teams in baseball are going to lose 60 times a year, so you can't count on someone to win every single day. It's always matchup by matchup. When we look at this particular matchup, McGill on the mound for the Mets and Gavin Stone on the mound for the Dodgers. McGill's only seen limited action this year. He's got a 3.0 ERA, while Stone 3.60 but 2.84 over his last 3 starts. Thing is, the Dodgers hitting just .207 versus righties and lefties over the last 10 games, while the Mets hitting righties at .243. But the thing is, the Dodgers have owned National League East teams, winning 10 in a row. I think they win the first 5 in this game as well. I'm rolling with the Dodgers, and that'll be my pick for the first 5 in this game. For our next game, we go to Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, where the Reds are taking on the Cardinals. It's Nick Lodolo on the bump for the Reds, Lance Lynn for the Cardinals. The Cardinals have really picked it up recently, going 8-2 in their last 10 games, while the Reds beating up on the Dodgers over the weekend to raise it to 5-5 over their last 10. We have 2 pitchers, though, whose ERAs are going in the wrong direction, with Lance Lynn now at a 4.60 over his last 3 starts compared to his 3.68 for the season, while Lodolo 4.50 as opposed to his 3.34 for the season. Thing is, when we look at the way these teams are hitting the baseball, the Cardinals are certainly hitting righties better than they're hitting lefties, but they're still crushing lefties. 255 over the last 10 games, 294 versus righties over the last 10, while the Reds just 207 versus right-handed pitching. We know both these guys can give it up, but I just like the way the Cardinals are swinging the bats, and I'll take the Cardinals for the first 5 innings of this game. For our next game, we head to Atlanta, where the Braves are taking on the Washington Nationals. It's Charlie Morton on the bump for the Braves and Mitchell Parker on the mound for the Nationals. Parker got off to a nice start earlier this season, but the thing is, his numbers are going in the wrong direction. Charlie Morton, like most of the Braves, generally a slow starter, his numbers starting to progress to the right direction, with his ERA dropping to 3.0 from 3.35, while Parker up a full run up to 4.32 over his last 3 compared to 3.32 for the season. Of course, the Braves found out Ronald Acuna looks like he's gone for the season, but 2 years ago when the Braves won the World Series, it was the same story. They were kind of mucking around, and then Acuna went down for the season, and look what happened. They ended up making a magical run all the way to the World Series championship. So I don't think anyone's too worried about the Braves here. The thing is that the Nationals are hitting just 207 over their last 10 versus righties. That doesn't get it done. We're going to lay the run line here with the Braves over the first 5. For our next game, we head to San Francisco, where the Giants are taking on the Phillies. It's Cy Young Award winner Blake Snell on the mound for the Giants, up against Taijuan Walker for the Phillies. Snell has looked like anything but a 2-time Cy Young Award winner so far this season, checking in with an 11.40 ERA, 12.0 ERA over his last 3 starts, while Walker, 5.06 ERA on the season, 3.86 over his last 3 starts. Both these teams are absolutely hitting the cover off the ball. The Giants hitting righties at 282 over their last 10 games and 324 versus lefties. Meanwhile, versus lefties for the Phillies, 257 over their last 10 games and 242 versus righties. The Giants have been a little bit of slow starters, though, in their games. A lot of their hits have come on the back end of it, but up against Taijuan Walker, I don't expect that to be a problem. While Snell, I think, is better than the numbers that we've seen, I think he gets hit hard as well. I'm going to roll with the over in the first 5 innings of the Phillies-Giants, and that's going to be my pick for this game. For our next game, we head to Petco Park in San Diego, where the Padres are taking on the Marlins. It's Michael King on the bump for the Padres and Trevor Rogers on the mound for the Marlins. Neither of these pitchers have pitched well recently, with Rogers coming in at a 6.0 ERA over his last 3 starts and 4.26 for King. And both these teams hitting the ball extremely well, with the Marlins 260 versus right-handed pitching over their last 10 games, 266 versus lefties, while the Padres, facing the lefty here, have been hitting lefties to the tune of 276 over their last 10 games and 255 versus righties. So both these teams facing the side of the plate that has been good to them recently, even though the Padres just 216 versus lefties over the course of the season, and the Marlins just 237 versus righties. The thing is, the Marlins are red hot, and not a lot of people are noticing it. They're 8-3 straight up in their last 11 as dogs. I think they get it started early in this one. I'm going to take the Marlins in the first 5 as my pick for this game. For our final game of the card, we head to Seattle, where the Mariners are taking on the Houston Astros in an AL West battle. It's Framber Valdez on the bump for the Stros, while Bryce Miller gets the ball for the Mariners. Both these pitchers, when you look at their recent ERAs in their last 3 starts compared to their season ERAs, are in a regression pattern here, with Valdez 4.74 over his last 3 compared to 4.32, and Miller ballooning to 5.71 over his last 3 from 3.53 for the season. When we look at Valdez, it really was just one absolutely horrific outing that ballooned that ERA up there. Other than that, he's been pretty good. And when we look at the last 10 games and the hitting of these two teams, the Mariners hitting lefties just at 183 over their last 10, while the Astros hitting 319 versus right-handed pitching. I think all these AL West teams had a chance to put the Astros away. They weren't able to do it, and now they're in big trouble. I'm taking the Astros in the first 5 of this game, and that's going to be my pick. That wraps up today's first half and first 5 innings picks. Of course, we'll be back tomorrow with a full Major League Baseball card, more NBA action as well. And of course, we'll continue this video series forever, hopefully. And, as we head into the fall, a little bit different story, but we'll see how we handle it. We'll figure it out. We always do. Of course, if you're looking for our best bets, you can find those over on our website, PickDawgz.com. Under the Premium Picks tab, you can use the discount code PICK to get 15% off. If you're looking for cool PickDawgz merch like the stuff that I wear, we've got a link in the description and, of course, on the website underneath the merch tab. All kinds of new and cool gear. Anyways, this is Mitch. Thank you for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow with our first half and first 5 innings.